Hey everybody, we are the Gratitude Girls.
Hello, everyone. How are you tonight, Laurie?
I am wonderful. How are you?
I'm really good. I had such a great day today. How about you?
I had a great day today as well.
Oh, we're going to have a chance to talk about it. I'd like to do a little geography for our audience and our guests so everyone knows where we are because you're such a world traveler. I don't see a suitcase, so I'm assuming that you'll be home for the next 2 days. My name is Catherine Asaro Myers, affectionately known as Rara's in the house, and I am speaking to you from our home tonight in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Laurie, I'm assuming you are in.
I am in Nashville today.
Okay, with that smile, it sounds like maybe you were somewhere else not too long ago.
I was in 3 different states in the last 3 weeks.
Amazing. Where were they? May I ask you?
I was in Atlanta, Georgia last week, and then I was in Delray Beach the week before that, and then I was in Vegas the week before that.
Okay, which of those trips? Did you have any memorable moments from any of those?
Lots of memories from all three. Yes.
Okay, good. Of course you did. Of course you did. Well, that's exciting. So I was here for the last 3 weeks doing exciting things without my suitcase, but maybe just to keep up with you, I'll put my suitcase out. That way I can have it and I'll have the Gratitude Girls, maybe a picture with our suitcases so we can go somewhere and record live. And speaking about suitcases, Laurie, I wanted to know if you would like to talk about that moment of inception, the moment that we met, so that we can relive this. We could certainly bring it to our audience and share with the people who are watching us for the first time. What is the Gratitude Girls show? Why are we here? What created this? Did we create it? Did we buy a franchise? What did we do?
Yeah, we created it. It was our idea. But it was one of those timely things, right? Everything happens in life for a reason, I think. And so Catherine and I are both in a direct sales company called Send Out Cards. And we are actually cross-lined to each other in the company. And the company every year at their international convention has a theme for the year. And that theme, then there's usually one person that wins like that award for that theme based on that. And so 2013, almost 7 years ago, was gratitude. And Catherine was the winner. So our CEO got up on stage. He told all about her accolades and attributes and all kinds of cool stuff. And I was busy taking pictures and video and doing all the techie stuff that I do. And then he said that for the very first time ever in the company, and as far as I remember, ever since then, there's only been one quote tie, and we were voted on by our peers, and so it was by all the distributors and customers in the company voted for them. And so then he ended up calling my name. So Catherine and I ended up meeting on stage in front of thousands of people. And we just literally like some people say that love at first sight thing and like dating. It was kind of like love at first sight, best friends, business partners. And it worked. We figured we had to do something with it. And Gratitude Girls was born like in 2 minutes.
And here we are. Laurie, I was so shaking when my name was called, when Cody called my name. And then when I heard your name, I remember thinking, I'm going to get to meet Laurie Delk right here because I had heard so much about you and the fact that you were recognized for so many things over the years. And especially what stands out in my mind is that you were recognized for sending the most gifts in the entire company. And I thought, what would it feel like for me to be one of those people that receives your gifts? Because if you're sending so many, there must be a reason for that. There must be such a thought process. I really wanted to get into your head. And then when I met you, I thought, oh my goodness, I'm meeting you. And then I remember walking down the stairs and getting to the bottom step and like holding your hand and getting down the step. And I thought, this is a real, like when you light up, there was a moment. And then we spent the rest of the trip together because we were sitting together, and it was like this. That was how it rolled for us. There was no hesitation. Laurie and I felt, saw, did immediately at the same time. And then it was as if life did not exist before knowing you. And this is part of my life, part of my memory, part of my future. And it feels so good to be able to say this and to have it and to share it. I don't know if everybody has ever felt this. Like, that would be a difficult thing to know if everybody ever has. But if you have, and you know what we're talking about, do everything possible. I have an itchy nose. Do everything possible to nurture that relationship, and do everything you can to keep it a high priority, and don't ever take it for granted, because this is something that we built. We were gifted that moment by Cody. It was truly one of the best gifts I could imagine, the gift of life and friendship and long living friendship and partnership. So thank you. I don't know if I say it enough to you. I know I tell you this when we have our show, but I don't know if that's enough. So I'm going to send you something to make sure that you know. But it's a great moment for me and for our audience to be able to watch us over the last 7 years, how we've developed, and basically how our vision has been this right from the start. What you see, this is how we imagined it, our guests coming on, and this is exactly what we're able to produce and to edit. Well, we don't really have to edit anything. We basically we wake up and we are surrounded by wonderful people, as we are tonight. And I wanted to explain a little bit about our guest, unless you have something that you wanted to add to my accolades about you.
That's good. Thank you.
Awesome. Okay. Well, thank you. Let me talk to you a little bit tonight about our really special guest. Her name is Shoshana Chaim. Chaim. Oh, she's going to correct me. I know that. I'll read a little bit and then I'll tell you a little bit. Shoshana is a Canadian wellness expert with a special interest in Redox Signalling Technology and plant-based nutrition. She's an executive independently marketing ASEA and breakthrough technology that is helping people with every symptom imaginable. Shoshana is a co-host of Plant Trainers podcast, founder of planttrainers.com, author, international speaker, and a creator of the Vegan Podcast Academy. Today, Shoshana was with me in a networking group. We were at WOW, and she held up an amazing book. And the book that she's developed and created for children about plant-based food. And I was so impressed with, I've seen this before, but today it truly impressed me yet again to see the dedication that Shoshana and her husband have towards children and towards the environment. I had the pleasure of, now this doesn't happen, I don't think, ever in 7 years. I had the pleasure of being with Shoshana today, and tonight she was on the show. I don't really think that's ever happened. I was quite surprised too when I thought about the irony of it, taking a selfie and sending that to you, Laurie. So when I was with Shoshana today and I watched her and I listened to her, and I thought to myself, she's going to be on our show tonight. Like, that was so amazing, because there we were hanging out. We were at a restaurant. We had some amazing things that happened. We had a great meeting. We were around a lot of people. And you know, when someone is going to be with you, it's kind of like that dating thing. Like, you know, I'm going to be with you later. And I was watching Shoshana thinking, well, I'm going to be with her tonight, so she's going to be with us. So, you know, I wanted to hang out a little bit more. And I know you, but I wanted to get to know you better. So I want to welcome you with open arms to the Gratitude Girls show. And I want to thank you for accepting to share your stories and your time with us. Welcome, Shoshana.
Thank you so much. That was beautiful. I'm grateful for being here today. And it was so ironic that we got to spend a big part of the day today together. Just happened to, I woke up in the morning and I said, wow, it's double rara.
That's like something you get at Starbucks, right?
Yeah. Can I have an extra rara with that?
Thank you. That was really fun. Tell me a little bit about your day, although I was with you, but I wasn't in your head. Tell me, how did that go for you today? What was that like to be around all these women paying attention to you and you explaining about your beautiful story?
Well, I mean, it's that group of women in particular are just wonderful. There's 2 locations to this networking group. So it was my first time in this actual space. And when I walked into the space, not just the women, but the actual space itself hit me like fresh water. So it was a beautiful experience just walking through the doors. But I know the first time I met the larger group of this women, I actually cried. I actually cried because of the way that people support each other, the way that they talk to each other, the way that they invest in each other's. I'm not going to say invest in each other's businesses, although they do that, but they're investing in each other's skills, and they're trusting the people who they love, and they're helping to rise everybody up together. And it's just so empowering being in that situation. I really didn't think about, people listening to me and people having their eyes on me so much as it is, what can we all do here for each other? And if I can offer my husband's health story, or what I've been able to do with other people, or a children's book that I've written to help inspire children to make healthier lifestyle decisions, then I'm just doing good for other people. So I totally experienced it as what I'm able to contribute, and not so much as what is my ego getting out of it. But now that you think about it, it does feel good.
Good. I'm glad that we can acknowledge that in you. Now, I don't know if you are okay with me talking about this, but you told me something very inspiring today, and that is that you're going to be doing something special with your body. And I don't know if you could talk about that.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Yeah, so I haven't been public about it yet, but Adam and I have decided, here's the moment. My husband, Adam, and I have actually decided to invest in our own health. Both being personal trainers, we've always done, the very basics to keep our bodies healthy and happy. And we've been going through a lot of things in the past year in terms of, some family things that have gone on. We're going through some renovations. Winter is coming, and winter in Canada is hibernation time. Thank goodness we have a treadmill and a full gym in the basement. But we've actually invested in a physique trainer for ourselves, and we're going to be doing a little bit of art with our body and cutting some muscles. We're going to cut some muscles. Yeah.
That's amazing. I'm really looking forward to following you with this journey. So however you decide to share it, I'm grateful that you're telling us that, because it's quite the inspiration. At the moment, I'm thinking that's not a bad idea. Maybe not at that level, but it's not a bad idea to just kick it up a notch.
Yeah, you know what? I just turned 41. So I turned 40 last year, and I wasn't in the headspace to really think about what I wanted to do in terms of making sure that I stay 30 forever. I'm constantly making those decisions in terms of the foods that I eat. I'm constantly making those decisions in terms of my cellular health, but I really want to make sure that that I have the muscles to protect my body as I get older, and why not have a little bit of fun with it and have a fun photo shoot and see what we can do. Yeah.
That's a great idea. And I'm certainly sure it's motivating, right? Because you have a goal and you have people around you and you have accountability.
And now all of Facebook knows.
Now everybody knows. There is no secret.
There's no secret.
Let me talk to you a little bit about gratitude, if you're okay with that at this moment. It's an interesting point to think about what we're grateful for. And Laurie and I, we I'm sure you do too, have moments in our day where we write about it and think about it and talk about it. But today in particular, I'm going to ask you 2 questions about gratitude. One is about today, and then one is there someone in your life that you would like to share a gratitude story with our audience?
Yeah. So what was the first one again?
About today. What are you grateful for today?
Oh, what am I grateful for today? Well, first of all, not a day goes by where I don't make sure that I'm grateful before my feet hit the ground. So whether it's and those things are normally the bigger things that I'm grateful for. I'm grateful I woke up. I'm grateful I could breathe. I'm grateful I can walk. I'm grateful for my family. But then throughout the day, I'm constantly trying to find other small things that I'm grateful for. So for example, as we were talking about just before, so when we went for lunch today, I wasn't it wasn't my time to eat. I had just eaten a big plate of vegetables and I was going home later to eat. So I just ordered a tea in the restaurant, and the waiter took the bill and he went like this. And he crinkled it all up right in front of my face. And I was a little bit like taken aback. And he's like, I'm not charging you for a tea. It's on the house. And I'm grateful that he did that for me. And I showed I said thank you, but I showed my gratitude. I mean, he definitely doubled his tip, so I'm grateful that I was out with wonderful women, and I'm grateful that he did that for me, and that I can then pay it forward, because that $5 going back to him could mean the difference between something or nothing else. And it can inspire me to pay for a coffee for the person next to me or behind me next time I'm in a Starbucks or what have you. So I am really grateful for that. And who I'm grateful for, I mean, I'm just so grateful for my husband. I can't be prouder to be married to such a man, the way that he lifts me up, the way that he supports me, the way that he is with our children, the way that we can build a life together. And I'm so grateful that he is here today, because 10 years ago, I was told that the probability, 3 times in a row, I was told the probability of raising my children alone, one unborn child alone, was just a probable future for me. So I'm just so grateful that I have my best friend, that I've been able to build this life with him, that I'll continue to build a life with him, that we're a unit, we're a family, all 4 of us, and plus the cat. And I'm just so grateful for his inspiration every day. I could not be who I am. We couldn't be who we are without each other. And I'm grateful for him.
Thank you for sharing that, Shoshana. How did you find this strength to whatever it is that you went through? How did you find the strength to go beyond what you were told about raising your family alone, and then to where you are today, knowing that that's not true?
So I think I lost it for a while, but because we're a unit, we've held each other up at different times. So when Adam was home alone, I left him home to, do man things and watch sports and those kind of things. And I took our son, our 1-year-old, to the park, and he called me and said, Shush, I have these pains in my chest and my arm. My dad's coming to pick me up and bring me to the hospital. I don't think I'm having a heart attack, but 35 years old, but I'm going to go anyway. And, everything seemed to check out okay. But a few weeks later, the phone rang and he was called into the doctor's office that he had a very weird tumor on his kidney, and it looked like it needed to be taken out immediately or he wouldn't be at the birth of our daughter. She was probably 4 weeks. I was probably 4 weeks pregnant at that time. And, there were times throughout that, they thought that he had another disease called VHL, where you get little tumors on your central nervous system. Nobody's lived past 40. Then he ended up finding out that his arteries were all blocked. And we had lost a friend to heart disease earlier, a few years before. So there were times where I literally had tantrums like a 2-year-old in a grocery store. But then there were times where I could just close my eyes and see us here today. See us here in 5 years from now, see us here in 10 years from now. So I think visualization really helped. I think him saying, Shush, it's going to be okay. I'm going to research this. I'm going to figure out what's going on. He adopted a plant-based diet within 1 year. He had actually shrunk the tumor and the arteries were all opened up again. The doctors wanted to know, what did you do? What doctor did you see? What treatment did you take? But it was nothing but diet and a little bit of meditation. So having faith in the science behind that, having faith in general, having a clairvoyant father kind of helped, but I always think that he's telling me things that he wants for his daughter, not the messages he's getting, but he's always right. So I've got to just trust. There were a lot of tools there. I'm grateful for all of that. I'm grateful for the documentaries that we watched and the messages that my father gave, and my friends who I could count on and who helped me through it.
And you said that you have children. Can you tell us a little bit about your children?
I can. Russell is 11 years old. He's an athlete, all around athlete. He plays volleyball all the time. He's on the volleyball team and basketball team at school. He absolutely loves it. Our daughter, Sage, is 9 years old. She's just getting into, she was into like the individual sports before. She's a really good runner. She was a gymnast, and now she's getting into volleyball and team sports too. And Adam's a volleyball coach. So it's really cute how everything's kind of developing together, but she's very artistic, and they're just wonderful little souls who want to do the best for the environment, who want to do the best for other people, who want to be kind to animals. It's wonderful to be raising compassionate children.
Yes, and I'm certain that the example that you and your husband give are a huge part of that.
I think so, but it's also that it's not only coming from us. We bring them to, plant-based or vegan festivals, and they meet other people, and they listen to our podcast sometimes, and they see other people's Instagrams, and they buy t-shirts that say, I don't eat anything that poops. And they have they have other role models besides just us, which I think is important too, that they notice that this is something that is global. Yeah.
That's fun, and that's funny. Laurie, on that note, do you have any questions for Shoshana? Oh my gosh.
Questions. Let's see. I don't know. It's funny. Yeah, I did. I was a vegetarian for 25 years. So, and then my husband convinced me to start eating meat a few years ago. So it's interesting. But, so tell us a little bit about like your journey now. So your daughter, you were pregnant with her, and she's 9 now, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's 9 years. That's a long time of going through this process, right? And getting your family to the best health that they can be for all of you, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So like I said, within a year of Adam becoming plant-based, so she was about a year and a half at the time that he went plant-based, and then we all joined along at various points afterwards. But within a year of him becoming plant-based, seeing how his tumor shrunk, seeing how his heart disease went away, I knew that this is what I had to do for my children. And Adam was in the best health of his life. He was performing better as an athlete, becoming an Ironman triathlete, like blowing people away with his numbers, learning to swim, like all of these things that he was doing was great. And our children were thriving. My son's eczema had gone away completely. We saw behavior issues go away because he wasn't sleeping at night, because he was itching all the time. But everybody was getting better, and I was getting worse because I had suffered extreme traumatic episodes from it. And I actually, with my NLP therapist, he said, "Shush, this is classic PTSD. This is PTSD." And he took me through specific exercises that really helped, that I would not be sitting here today speaking the way I speak. I wouldn't be a mom driving my kids to volleyball. I would have been on leave from work as a teacher. I was a teacher back at the time, and this is what brought me into the health field to become a health expert. And so when I got better, then I would get worse again. So, Brad gave me the opportunity to live again, to thrive again, but I still needed some more maintenance. And I couldn't understand why I couldn't do it just with diet alone, with meditation and with yoga, and why I was still getting so low, why my anxiety was out of control, why my adrenals and my cortisol levels had gone out of control. So over the last 9 years, we've seen so much high, but I've also seen a lot of low that affects the family as a unit altogether as well. And I mean, again, coming back to gratitude, I'm so grateful for Adam's colleague who introduced me to a product called ASEA, which is a redox signaling molecule. And we have that in our body. It's in our cells. It's made in our mitochondria. And when we don't have enough of it, our cells are not whole. Our cells are not full. And if you have enough trauma to the body, if you have disease sitting in your body, if you've been on antibiotics like I was sometimes 12 times a year. I'd be on antibiotics from ear infections. I think I must have been extremely intolerant to dairy products. So because it only stopped, my ear infections really only stopped when I stopped eating dairy. So imagine being a 35-year-old, a 32-year-old still getting perforated eardrums. You don't hear about that very often. So when I was able to figure out what my body needed to be able to balance my hormones, to be able to bring down my stress levels, to be able to fix my body on a cellular level, that's the point where our family in the last 2 years has really just been able to thrive, and we've all been able to support each other positively in the last 2 years on such a great level. So it's just been so wonderful since then.
It sounds like obviously there was a journey there, and I'm very happy to hear that you pulled it all together and that you put it together in a way, in a package, and in a way where you can share this with other people, because we learn from one another. We certainly learn from the stories that we're grateful for. Sometimes are the deepest stories that have caused us so much pain because we don't know at that moment, right?
I'm still working on being grateful for it all. And this has come up on our podcast as well, where you'll hear people say, I'm so grateful for the worst day of my life because it's brought me to where I am now. And I'm almost there, but I still wish that I would have made it here without that. Without that. Yeah.
I understand. And the moment that you are right now, we're grateful that you're here. So however the rest of your journey goes, we are happy to be part of this with you. And we're happy that you're so strong and so resilient that you can be here to share and to teach your children and to teach others, because we're learning from you right now.
Thank you. Yeah, it is hard sometimes to share your story and to be so vulnerable. I mean, at this point, I've shared the story a lot, but afterwards, I always have that moment where I'm like, okay, more people are going to know, more people are going to hear. But it's really a sign of strength because I've been able to help so many people with their own issues. And I know that because I get the letters, I get the emails, I get the PMs saying, because I heard you talk about your story, I knew I wasn't alone. I knew I could go to my mother. I knew I could go to my husband. And that makes it all worth it. And to be able, I mean, we're all practitioners in a way. And to be able to have so many tools in a tool belt to help people rise, to help people come through, to be amongst amazing, beautiful women is just so great to share and to experience.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for that perspective. I think that this will come naturally to you, what I'm going to ask you next. We'd like to turn our show over to you, to our guests, to give you an opportunity to lead, to ask questions of Laurie and I. Unrehearsed, we have no idea what you're going to say, but if you're interested in doing that, we'd like to give you that moment, that spotlight now.
I'd absolutely love to do it. Laurie, I wanted to know from you, because you are so cheery. You radiate happiness. You radiate all of these positive words that I could think of. And I wanted to know what you may have done before, hopefully not in the past, or what you would recommend to people if they are in a situation like I was in with my husband, thinking that life was going to change and not for the best. Or how do you overcome these adversities that we have in life and bring out the positivity in it?
Yeah. Okay. So thank you for the compliment. So I've had a lot of different things, right? And I think, we all have different things and we all go through different things through life, but none of us get through life just perfect. Right. And so, like when you were talking earlier and you said, I'm still trying to find how to, totally be grateful for whatever. One thing that I have found going through some things is I find myself, especially like when I'm speaking on stages about stuff, I say, in spite of, I'm grateful for, so many things from my husband who had back surgery that went bad and had to be off work for 5 years. And I all of a sudden became the sole provider for the family, to then him finally getting better and then him getting killed in a car wreck. and then losing my mom a couple years ago, and just so many different things. You know, I that's what I say. I say in spite of, because we have choices of how we can take something and how we can react to it, right? And that's it. We have a choice, and we are going to have, you know, our children watching us on our reactions, because they are going to go through stuff in life too, right? And we need to be that example for them, as well as any of the people, you know, especially how social media is nowadays, you know, and anywhere else. If you have people following you, people looking up to you, you never know who is watching you, right? And of course you want to be that good example too. But then even when you get by yourself, you know, when nobody else knows, when you're in the bed sheets or when you're in the shower or whatever, that I believe that your mindset is like, I mean, they say that it's like 86% of, you know, your health or whatever. And it all starts there. And so I think it's just so huge to do that. Like you were talking about, you know, the gratitude journal, and Catherine and I do that. And I do every day before I go to bed. I write 5 things down that were specific and in detail for that day that happened in my life. And it could be something as little as one of the kids fed the dog, you know, and I didn't have to do it.
I didn't have to ask.
Right, exactly. You know, so it doesn't have to be anything major, but it's just finding those reasons to be grateful, because a lot of times as a natural person, human, we tend to think on the negative. And there's so much negative that happens throughout the day. And then there's, you know, the traffic and the news and the rain and, you know, whatever, right? And so it's so easy to fall into that negativity mindset, that when you, especially right before you go to sleep, I believe it's so important that the last thing that you do before you go to sleep is you put your mind into that grateful and thankful state, because that's what's going to set the tone for what you dream about, how you sleep, you know. And it's like a natural sleep aid is to put your mind in that good state. And then also writing it down is when you do have those kind of woe is me moments or whatever, you can go back to your journal and you can read things to remember how grateful and thankful that you are, or you should be, you know, to get you back into that state.
I love those ideas, and thank you so much for sharing. I'm grateful for you sharing your story, and I see you, and I'm sending you strength. And I love that idea of, you know, going back to it, because when you're in your darkest moments, you need something to raise you back up again. Rara, you are one of the most experienced women. You are a walking encyclopedia to me. The things that you've done in your life is just incredible. And what can people do to take them up? So when they are doing all these small things every day, do you find, like, having your psychology background and all that, do goals and do big projects work for everybody? How can people who are in that slump and really want to come out of it, but need something bigger than that day to day, what can they do to increase their mindset, increase their mental health, and have that increase their physical health?
Thank you for that question, Laurie. I wanted to thank you for what you said. And yes, we do write down our gratitude story, and we write down what we're grateful for, which becomes our gratitude story, because it's the small things, and then they turn into big things because we have them. So it's a big thing, no matter how small it is, right? Shoshana, thank you for that compliment as well. So I was just talking about this with my husband in the car this morning. Like, it's funny, or no surprise that you would ask me
so
this
many
question.
Coincidences today.
Really, like, there are no coincidences, right? So we were talking about that, and I was discussing actually 25 years of case studies, and how when it comes to a vision, for me to deal with that with a patient or a client, in my perspective, how easy that is for me to do. That has nothing to do with the patient or the client or the person's ability, right? Has to do with, I can look at that, go into your mind and see from inside what you're saying. That's what I have the ability to do. So as you're speaking, one is speaking, I can sometimes say, that's it, I get it. I get it because I'm there. I already know, like, how do I explain this? But I'm already there. And then when I look at me, I look at me from over there, looking at me as if we're already gone and done and through that. So those little things are not part of the things that get anywhere in my way. So if we were to say that little things were over here and big things were over here, just for the sake of saying that, I don't really sweat the little things. I will come up with an idea and a concept, and I will create that. So when someone is dealing with something, the question is, how do they, or how do I, or how does one get lifted up? So everybody has a different way of doing things, right? Everybody has different tendencies. We know that. So if someone said, Shoshana, I really think it's important that you do this before you exercise, or you do it like that. Well, that's not the answer for you, right? It could be the answer for them. I find that when it comes to having a vision, the goal is not that important, but the vision is. How to get there is not, I'm going to. How am I going to do it? That's the small stuff. The big thing is, and we talked about this today, right? Know your why. So I happened to share that with you today. So when you know someone's why, when I know my own why, when you develop your own why, and not your why based on your experience, like, oh, I'm really good at this, so therefore this is what I'm, not that at all. The things that make you cry, the why that makes you cry, how to get away from the small stuff is to know the reason that you are breathing and the reason that you want to wake up every day, the reason that you do wake up, and focus on the big things. So if something terrible were to happen and we're looking at the big picture, we're going to look at the big picture in belief, just as Laurie said, with mindset. So it's the mindset and it's our belief system. Not to say that I didn't have patients and clients that came to me completely distraught over things that were important to them at the moment, and then maybe 3 weeks later weren't. And it depends on the state of mind. You talked about PTSD. There are states of mind that we cannot negotiate the same subject when we're in that state of mind, correct? If we're in
an ant in the kitchen can be just as big as a nuclear bomb coming down on a country. Yeah.
That's how it feels. So we can't negotiate our way out of that. So we look at a healthy mind, but in life, things change, right? There is no guarantee. If we can understand the big picture, the how-to little things, as important as they are, there is a place and a time for that, and there's a place and a time for the vision, but don't lose sight of either. Hopefully I answered your question.
Yeah, you did, and you did touch on that today, and I didn't connect the two until you started talking, and then I think that's so wonderful, because I think that there are a lot of people listening who are going through something. And some people go through something and it's just like, that's fine. Like, I know in 2 weeks it's going to be something else, so I'm just going to let that go. But there's some people where whatever's going on now, somebody said one little thing to them, and that encompasses them, those small little things. So, I love to look at the person as a whole person, right? We don't disconnect the brain from the mouth, from the stomach, from the limbs. We're a whole person. So we need to put it all together. We need to take all of those day-to-day tasks. We need to take our why and our big picture. We need to take care of our bodies, whether it's going for physique training or the way that we eat, or the supplements that we take, or the understanding of how the body actually works. We need to bring us all together to be the very best that we can give, so that we can give to other people and we can receive, and we could just have days filled with gratitude.
Yes, thank you. Those are great questions. I like the idea of us treating our bodies like it's a sanctuary. Imagine doing that to ourselves. So I believe that I treat my body very well. There's always room for improvement. But there are things that I do for my body because I know that it's important to do that. And if I didn't, I'm assuming that my mind would be upset and so would my body.
And sometimes we treat our pets or our cars better than we treat ourselves. And if anybody listens, do you listen to Bob Proctor ever? And he says, we are not our body. We just inhabit our body. We borrow our body. And if we could think of our body as borrowed, I think a lot of us would actually treat it better than we would if we knew it was our own.
Yes, there are so many conversations we can have from that. But yes, well, we don't have time for that. But that was great. Great opening to another conversation for another time. Shoshana, I don't want to look at the clock. I had to because I had to look at the clock. But before we go to the next phase of closing the show, is there anything that you would like to say to someone, whether they're listening or not at this moment, a message that you would like to give them?
Oh, I don't know. Sorry. Last September, not this past September, last September, we lost Adam's stepdad. And it was very sudden for us. And he was hard on me in a lot of ways because he knew that I can do, not that I could do so much more than I was doing, but he knew that I was going places and that I can definitely help more people than I can. And he was a pharmacist and tried to be as natural as possible and helped as many people as possible. So I guess, like, to answer that question, I guess it's just that I've stepped up my game and I'm helping more people. And my goal is not just to reach people one-on-one, but to reach the masses, through my podcast, through the rest of my business, to be able to help other people understand so that they can help other people. And I've changed like that. And I think that that's because of him. So I'd like him to know that I'm doing that and that's because of him. And yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. Shoshana, we will post all of your links, but if someone wanted to reach you immediately, the quickest, what would you give them as the fastest way to get in touch with you?
Sure. So they can always reach me on Facebook at Shoshana Chaim, or they can email me at Shoshana or info, if Shoshana is hard to spell, at Plant Trainers. There's 2 T's in there, planttrainers.com. And I'd be happy to talk to any of your listeners for, 20 minutes, 30 minutes and see how I might be able to help them improve their quality of life.
Great. Shoshana, thank you. Thank you so much for all of your wisdom and for your friendship and for the fun that we had today, for opening your heart and sharing on Gratitude Girls show. Laurie and I are really, I feel blessed. I know Laurie does too. I can speak for her. We're blessed to be able to have you with us and to have these memories that creates, of course, our story and now our story together. Thank you so much for being here. Laurie, if there is someone watching tonight that says, or watches a replay and says, I want to do that. I want to share my story. I want to tell this about my life, or I want to thank someone who is here or not here. How do they do that?
Yeah, absolutely. So go to our Facebook page at www.facebook.com/gratitudegirls and click message. And send us a message there and share with us your story of gratitude and what you'd like to share with the world. And Catherine and I will get back with you and give you our schedule. We've already got 2020 almost completely full. So we're blessed with such amazing and wonderful speakers all the time, and all the different speakers that we are attracting into our lives that help and enrich us, right? And so if you have a wonderful story and you want to share it with the world and with us, then send us your story at facebook.com/gratitudegirls. And we do our show the 4th Tuesday night of every single month. And that's 8:30 Central, 9:30 Eastern, 7:30 Mountain, and 6:30 Pacific. I said that a little backwards.
That's great. That's great. Laurie, thank you so much. And I want to say to everyone who's watching, My heart goes out to you, and this has been a fantastic show. I look forward to watching the replay as I do every single month. And Shoshana, I look forward to seeing you soon. Laurie, it's been a pleasure and always an honor, and I will see you later.
Thank you, everyone. Good night.
You're welcome.